work or not, if my phone is going to bomb out. But let's give it a go. Because I was just going to sit down and record a video talking about what's going to be a really tricky subject to navigate. And the reason being is the subject matter, it might seem like it's about one thing, but it's actually extremely broad. And when you speak up questioning certain things, what happens is it's too easy for people to say to you, you are trying to deny. Hi, Paige. Hi, Crime Curious. How are you guys? It's too easy for... I'm just going to talk about Meghan Walsh. Have you guys been seeing over the last few months what's been occurring to do with her children, and now the groups that she's involved in? Because I only discovered this situation yesterday. I became aware of John Walsh again. I guess he came into my zeitgeist again when the Brian Laundrie, Gabby Petito situation was on, and he was making some, quite inflammatory statements about, hey, Brian Laundrie should hang. Hi, S. Brooke. Can people just understand now that I really won't be able to see a lot of this? I'm just using my phone. I'm not used to I don't know what I'm doing. If I don't say hello to anybody. Hi, APEC Jones. So maybe someone there can say hello to everybody for whomever might come in. Hi, AJ About Justice. Hi. So John Walsh, he's talking about Brian Laundrie should go and hang somewhere. I mean, yeah, he's probably was saying just what many of us thought. But I hadn't thought about him and his situation with Adam Walsh for many years, because it was decades ago I used to watch his TV show, one of his TV shows, and I vaguely knew the story. And then his boys killers apparently now named. I don't really know much about it, but anywho, I was on a Zavgirl live yesterday, listening to Tiff and Bella read out a story about an axe murder, and they read really well. And then I noticed that someone mentioned Meghan Walsh. I thought, well, I have to look into this. And Meghan Walsh is the 40-year-old daughter of John and Reevie, is it? Reevie Walsh. Am I just way too close to you guys? I feel like my face is right up in there. Sorry about that. I've never done this before. I might just go and get a jacket too. Sit there. We're in the naughty corner, or maybe what, as above, as below calls my throne room. He thinks it's my throne room, like I'm sitting on the toilet. So maybe I should have my little crown on. Be back in a tick. Sorry, I just like to cover my arms these days, just older women shit. And he's the 40-year-old daughter and, the sister of Adam Walsh, who was murdered, decapitated at 6.5 years old. And, she's probably had quite a difficult life being brought up in that family, right? And she has said that her parents were trying to get her, psychological help since she was about 8 years old. And she obviously describes it a different way, that she's... I'm always in the naughty corner too, AJ. I know. Yeah. that's just where I live, you know. Like a little naughty corner troglodyte. So what's happened though is she's had 3 children originally removed from her, and now she's had quite traumatically a 5-day-old baby taken away. Okay. And of course she thinks the big problem is CPS and child trafficking, basically, and she thinks that her, how can I say this now on a live? This is going to be so tricky because I can't just start again, right, recording my video. Hi, Melmac. Yeah, Meghan Walsh. Now, the thing is, though, Meghan Walsh, you've had 3 children. We don't know the story. She doesn't tell the story of it. She's asked the story, and she will go off on her QAnon tangents about Frank Sinatra and the Rat Pack, and the history of all these in Florida, Hollywood, Florida, and just talk about anything but how she lost her children. And when you've lost your children this way, you don't go and have another baby, do you? Yeah, her parents have the children, and they haven't gone into the system as such. I mean, John Walsh and Revi Walsh want to adopt these children, from what I understand. And I think, people have got her in their clutches, and it's very telling who she goes to talk about. Now, sure, we can't trust MSM. MSM aren't going to tell us a real story. They're not going to truly investigate sex trafficking, child trafficking, human trafficking in general, really, right? But, she'll go and talk to people like Jonathan Lee Riches, and all these other, these groups. She's in the clutches of the Save Our Children, and, it's very telling. And of course, they're going to give her a platform. They're going to talk to her for hours on end, and she is doing everything but really focusing on doing the things that she's just been told if she does these things, she will get her children back. Instead, she went and had another baby. She had another baby. She's traumatized that baby because once you're on that radar, no matter, we don't know what her problem is. It could, I have a feeling she's psychotic. She might have she's put another little human being into the position where they were vulnerable and going to be taken away. Melmac says, Meghan made it sound, it disappears. How do I do this? Meghan made it sound when she did research on her brother Adam, she found out all sorts of questionable behavior of her parents. Yeah. Look, I mean, I think there's something quite spooky about John Walsh, because I think he's a bit of a megalomaniac, and, the era and the culture that he's sprung out of, it's a different time. It really is a different time. It's from a self-made, create your myth time. However, I think she's a child that grew up with, Paige Davis says John Walsh is definitely scary in my eyes. Yeah, I think he is a bit scary, and I think he probably became a particular person. He probably evolved and evolved and evolved over time. But what does this, it must have been very difficult growing up as Meghan, in the shadow of Adam, the brother now, who's always going to be like this little, it would have been very tricky. And I imagine she's grown up really feeling like, did she really get enough attention? She tells the stories that she'd be in shops with Reeve, and her parents are always never really watching her, and just trying to. Yeah, she has strong allegations, Mel Max says, against her parents that run the gamut of wickedness. Hi, Alec Erickson. Hi, beautiful. I'd love to know what you think about this, because it's the thing about these high-profile people. They are valuable to groups who have their own wickedness, right? And they take real issues like the systemic issues in CPS, etc., etc. They take those themes to use it. All these people are great storytellers, and sorry, I'm suddenly getting really, really like nearly overwhelmed that I'm actually live and doing this. I didn't think this through. I feel like I'm not going to be very coherent now. And she's got the lingo of these groups, the loopholes, the false reporting, etc., etc. And she talks about trauma and PTSD, and we know there are really big issues with these groups. We know that rehoming is an issue, rehoming of people that are adopted. I mean, in America, Americans can't adopt from Russia anymore because of the issue with rehoming. Oh no, I'm just so thank you. We do know the foster system, it's set up for a reason. The foster system exists because nuclear families have broken down. Meghan Walsh will say that the problem is with CPS. No, Meghan, the problem is that people aren't providing safe, supportive family units for their children anymore. Whether society makes this difficult for a lot of people or not, I don't know. But we don't have these nuclear families raising children in villages. This is the problem. And Meghan Walsh chose to have 3 children out of wedlock. This isn't a judgment about that. Don't start it. Emily G, hello, little bunny. It's not a judgment on anything like that. Life is complicated. There are many variables. People make decisions all the time based on what they need to do. But what I'm saying is, you can't bring children up into a non-ideal system. Maybe she's got a lot of mental illness. Maybe there's drug-induced schizophrenia. She's in the clutches of these QAnon-style groups, and she has then brought another baby into this. These are stupid, selfish decisions. Did she just want to replace something that she had taken? Was it an accident? She needed to be more careful. What was she focusing on? I know this sounds really judgy, but I'm just going to be giving this some thought over the next little time. Tennessee Mountain High, hello. So what was the reason they gave for taking the kids? She won't tell you, you see. She will be asked this, and then she will just go off on her tangents about John Walsh being powerful, having contacts, how her lawyers are corrupt, how they're working for the other side. When people who have fought the courts and won know that if they just follow the steps and do what they need to do, they can get their children back, Grace Cho says, But don't you think if she goes up against the system, they will do some crazy making on her? She's doing the crazy making. She's doing that little rain dance, bringing down the crazy by going into powwows with groups that don't have reputations for truth or using evidence. They are known agitators, that advocates, right? What they call themselves, the advocates. They've often got their own history of feeling, a little bit butthurt, and then the truth eventually comes out that at the time when they lost their children, they had anger management issues, drug issues. But then what they did after losing their children is, rather than maybe just work to get their children back, they then, and then I became a cross-country truck driver because I was hurt, but my children don't talk to me anymore. Well, how often did you try to talk to your children? Did you send them a birthday card? Did you make them a telephone call once a week? Just letting them know, even if it didn't go well, did you always let them know that you were there? And the case is that generally no, but now they've found a niche and somewhere for a platform, and I don't know, they take up a cause. S. Brooks says, clearly there's something going on beyond what we think. Do you guys mind if I just leave you to get a drink of water? I didn't think this through. I just decided to push the live button. Excuse me. How rude. How rude. Just make yourselves at home. Melmac says her parents cut her child's hair and ran DNA to find or narrow down paternity. Yeah, there's no talk of the fathers, is there? Her parents found the sperm donor. Okay. Sorry, the scrolling, it goes up my phone screen and then it just sort of fades off. So thank you for bearing with me. What's this button do? Oh, look. Oh, that's hard to look at. Anyway, sorry. I'll stop messing around. Grace Cho says, every time John Walsh is interviewed about Adam, that boy. Oh, yeah, it's a little bit creepy, isn't it? I guess maybe over time. I mean, we see, I think sometimes too, people don't give enough credit to people who are resilient and people who find a way to live life. And this is something that I've found drives a lot of the Village of the Damned in regards to Abby Williams and Liberty German, perhaps say in respect to how they talk about Mike Patty, and how can he just be so collected, etc., etc. They're just moving on with life, and people don't seem to recognize resilience and the way people, they just have to survive, they have to live life. It doesn't make the hurt any less, it doesn't make the trauma and the loss any less, but they need to convert their grief into something valuable and useful, and for the sake of the rest of their lives and the lives of the people around them. And that's probably what John Walsh has done. I don't know how he's ended up now. I mean, I really probably think there is megalomania going on. But I don't think he's torturing his daughter for no reason either. It's a bit of a loop, really, because she's a product of a very surreal environment, and yeah, she probably has had attachment issues and all sorts of issues from a young age. And, you know, there's a lot going on that we aren't privy to. So, sorry, is this annoying? How I'm just touching the screen when I'm doing this. Oh, there we go. So does he have her kids? Alex Erickson says, from what I understand, yes. And she's been saying recently, so a lot, she started talking out a lot at about 6 months ago, apparently. From what I can see, she started appearing on a lot of, the JLR and a lot of truther is the word I was looking for, channels. And about 6 months ago, and now recently she's had a child taken away, a 5-day-old baby. This is, imagine that little baby just needs the heartbeat of mother and mother's milk. But, she's clearly made a mistake having that child. Not to say the child is a mistake. She was the adult. She was supposed to be fighting for 3 other children. Now, John Walsh and Reeve Walsh do have those children. They've taken them up to the Finger Lakes until August. Apparently this is a family tradition. She says, well, it's not a tradition. Meghan says it's not a tradition of my family, me and my children. I haven't been there for a year, 2 or 3. Well, it's a John Walsh tradition. There's a lot, see, and this is where all the QAnon groups are going to come in again. Oh, Finger Lakes, this is the hub of trafficking, and Meghan, with these groups attached to her, they are going to create this. This is going to erupt. I'm telling you now, the channels that we're watching that are covering Summer Wells, that are the Village of the Damned, these channels are going to erupt talking about Meghan Walsh and her children. And they are going to be talking about how big this all is and who's involved and how you can't beat the system, okay? And it's going to cloud the issue. What's the age difference between Meghan and Adam? I believe Meghan wasn't about 40. And Adam, did he go missing in the 80s? I don't even know if she was born when he went missing. I'm not sure. Emily G says, trauma begets trauma, sadly. Imagine if time could be rewound. Would we even know who the Walsh family is? Tennessee Mountain High makes a good point. What she doesn't understand is how they let her bring the baby home in the first place. Because, yeah, often, from what I understand, in these situations where you've already had children removed and you're under some sort of watch list, there's a reason. And I would say it's mental health diagnoses, something like that, perhaps. They will actually remove that little baby right from the hospital. So she's gone home. So I don't know what that says about the birth. We don't know where she gave birth and what the situation was there. Maybe they wanted to do this from home because she is Meghan Walsh. Maybe they were trying to do something more privately and it didn't happen that way. And actually she was filming while they were doing this and she was saying the DCF, is it? Oh, they're not even here. They were there. She later says, oh, and DCF came and took my child. And yeah, it is so heartbreaking, Esbrook. That is the most unnatural thing in the world, for a baby not to be with a mother. It's the worst thing. You even see, in babies that are in the NICU units, they're not as cuddly often as other babies. They can grow up perfectly, of course, just once they're home and they adapt and they thrive. But, people will say, My other child was so snuggly, and now this child isn't. John Walsh was 22 and his wife was 16 when they started dating. Yes, Elizabeth Lander. In some states, that would be illegal. But, they were, in a way, they were both young. Paige Davis says, I'm so suspicious when QAnon starts erupting. It might be a distraction from the January 6th committee. What's the January 6th committee, please? Alex Erickson says, Bentley was so much thinner in the NICU, in the NICU. I'm sorry Bentley was in NICU. Alex, I didn't realize that. And it would have been hard because all you want to do, is pick him up and nestle him and know that that's skin to skin. And it's that skin to skin touch and that contact. It's so healing. You can even look at other animals, not just humans. You look at other animals, you've got this little orphan animal, and if you can get it to some other maternal feeling animal, you could put a little baby goat with a Labrador dog, and that they will start thriving. They will start wanting to feed, things like that. With that skin on skin. Sorry. Hi, Lipsha. You made a first live, Lipsha Morrissey. You made the very first. This is the, first one. It was just a spur of the moment. Hey, I'm going to push this button and see if this happens now, because I tried once before and it never worked. So I didn't think I could do it on my phone. I didn't know if I'd have the juice or not. I don't think Trump did incite an insurrection, but I don't live in America. It's just an opinion of a plebeian of another country who doesn't know anything. But I don't think he did. Yeah. You haven't missed anything, Lipsha. We're just talking, Lipsha, about Meghan Walsh, because I had never heard of her. Yes, it is, Em. It's my very first live. It's very spontaneous. I'm ill prepared. I'll be more prepared if I do it again. And it just really gets me thinking about what the real reasons is. We can blame, she talks, I don't know of someone that really is elite. I mean, they think of them. I mean, I'm not talking about the uber rich billionaires that we have no idea what life is like for them. It is so alien to us. But she calls herself, when you grow up elite with the elites, this is the language of QAnon. And I don't think, if you're wholly sane, you're going to be talking about yourself like that. CBS News Network. The reason is treason. Are you talking about Trump and the yeah, pop. You all can read the comments anyways, but I'm just reading them out in case someone does want to be listening and they're like me and they don't want to be watching the screen. Sometimes you can't always. And sometimes I find it frustrating if you can't follow along enough, because when someone's answering a question, they don't know what they don't know what the question was because they don't repeat it. So, oops. CBS News Network says constitutional right violation, kidnapping, force, fraud. So is CBS News Network, are you talking about Meghan Trainor? And you're saying that because this is the language of, not Meghan Trainor, it's the singer, of Meghan Walsh, because she's using these, the fraud, conservatorship fraud, etc., right? And part of what she's saying is actually the two people that are attributed with the kidnap and the torture, murder, etc. of Adam Walsh. She's saying no, it was actually Jeffrey Dahmer. Jeffrey Dahmer was MK Ultra'd, and he was set up. Adam Walsh was sacrificed to this system, and that's that. So Jeffrey Dahmer had a preference. And it wasn't prepubescent boys. I believe actually it was mostly young black gay men and not young children. Reverend Walsh started the Centre for Missing and Exploited Children after Adam died. And John Walsh has a son as well, another son, and he works for that centre. That's his day job. And he seems pretty level-headed, etc. And it is a big database. See, it's such a tightrope. It's such a tightrope, because if you want to speak out and if you want to try to reason things out and find the solid ground, people are going to say that you are saying that you don't think children are trafficked, that you don't see that there is abuse in a system and that people are traumatized and that there is corruption. They will try and say that this is what you are denying, and that is so ridiculous, because people that speak up against the people, if you speak up against certain groups, I'm not even going to finish that thought, sorry about that. Now the thing is, yes, look, it's true. Children are commodities in the foster system. People are commodities in a system where private entities, private companies can become these NGO, government-funded organizations, non-government, government-funded organizations. They know there is big money there. If they say, hey, I'll provide a service, we'll provide the service. We'll provide a disability support service. We'll provide a social work service. We'll provide an alcohol and other drug counseling service. We'll provide a childcare service, etc., healthcare, aged care, etc. Give us your millions. And companies will take millions and they get the people on the books and they can make money off that person over and over again. Sure, this is true. And are they really helping? I have spoken up against this person called George Pudlow. Okay, he's running for Congress 2022 in California, but he's running as his drag queen persona, maybe a girl. And one thing I do agree with him on, though, is we really need to abolish the moving around, the scamming, the draining of funds that could actually be used to help by these private companies, by private people. We have got people becoming multi-millionaires, billionaires, taking your money that is there to help society. But it's, people are setting up these companies and, you can't throw all truth seekers under the QAnon bus. No, this is it though, Grace Cho. This is it. You shouldn't have to be one or the other. There's everything in between, right? And I would consider myself a truth seeker. It doesn't mean that I'm going to immediately go to the top of this other mountain, right? And, you don't have, it's not just one way or the other. Jean Panic, did I say that right? Panic? Like Orrin and Orson West, yes, little classic and sincere from Bakersfield, whose parents created this complete farcical fraud of moving their family to Cal City to hide the disappearance of these little boys that came out of the foster system. Then they were able to legally adopt them. And, my theory all along was, as probably many of your theories, was that, they never made it to Cal City. And we now have been told by law enforcement that law enforcement know this to be true. Sorry if I've missed. Mel Mac, I don't do fake book either. APIP Jones says, I've worked in immigration camps and the NGOs get paid based on how many people per day are there. Yeah. And, often, and the trouble too with these NGOs, not-for-profit NGOs, not-for-profit, is they often hire a lot of people before they are torn down by the system they're trying to work in. They will hire people who have their bachelor's degree of social sciences or what have you, humanities, and, the social workers, and they hire these fresh young kids. Some of them are, very early 20s to deal with these extreme situations. And you either have these young people or you have these people with a lot of tenure in amongst these organizations who really work the system and who sometimes, are really just abusing it. It's very complicated. Yeah, it's very complicated. Even though they are labeled as not-for-profit, they often get huge contracts. I know APEP, exactly, that multi-million contracts. And once people realize that, and just more and more of these organizations keep popping up. And the sad thing is too, people need services everywhere, but mostly these services turn up in the cities, and there's very few organizations that try and help people that are in the towns, people that need disability services in towns, healthcare services in towns. They're just going for the easy pickings. So it's a numbers game. The citizens are the resource. So, people can talk about, say, the NDIS system here in Australia. No, but there's lots of money now and you can just apply and you can get this help and you can get social workers and support workers. Well, if you're living in a town of 500 people and you don't, you've got multiple sclerosis and you're bedridden most of the time and you want to have, help just with daily life and, maybe having some sort of, value in your life, sorry, but where the money might be available if you apply for it, but no one's providing that service out there. So you just get nothing, right? So the farming out, it's hemorrhaging money. Our government's hemorrhage money to the greedy or to the smart, whatever way you look at it, right? To the savvy. Tennessee Mountain High says children simply taken on allegation, most times never proven. I think there's cases like that, but I think the deeper you looked into each person's specifics, things might be actually otherwise. Courts are becoming more savvy to narcissistic abuse and to who the actual abusers and manipulators are when couples are separating and fighting for children and things like that. You know, they're becoming aware that the person making all these terrible allegations could very well be the abuser and a manipulator. So, yeah. John Adorjan. Hello, John. John is somebody who has in-depth first-hand knowledge of working within organizations like the ones we're discussing, and he's saying that, you know, decisions are based on findings. You know, they don't take children lightly. We know this because half the time we feel like they should have taken the children. How many ways do we want this? Okay? And now what's happening is people are going to try and say, see, this is actually what was happening. What the freak was that? This is actually what was happening to Summer Wells. Those boys got taken. No. Yeah. Elizabeth Lander's been in social work for 33 years. That's amazing. Elizabeth was adopted from a children's home, but she was young and she was a lucky one, great family. I think people need to be more understanding about what it might feel like to be adopted as well. You know, there's surely got to be, for every single person adopted, this black hole in here, a wound that would never heal, and you can be as grateful and happy and as loved and as loving toward your adoptive family as it could ever be possible, but it must be a hard wound. The same way that people go into social work, for example, probably you wonder, okay, so why have people gone into psychology and psychiatry? That might be a little bit more scary, right? It's like, oh shit, I need to understand myself. I'm a mess. Yeah. So I'll just briefly, I'll just want to reiterate, okay, what I was thinking about Meghan Walsh. And it was just my gut, my quick judgment, which I know maybe we shouldn't rely on, and we'll try and look further. But I know that as I look further, I'm just going to find more of the same feelings about Meghan. Meghan is not telling the full story. The truth of Meghan is something that would be difficult for anyone that's not Meghan and her family to unravel. She's not hanging out with the right people, and she's been told this by the judge, and she's been told this, oh, John, oh, we are all, to be human is to be insane, okay? Our level of consciousness means that we're just insane. To be inside here and to have the thoughts and feelings that are possible for a human being, it's a lot to cope with. Walking around trying to show everybody that we are coping. Bob J says 95% of the time children should never be taken. Neglect the system is corrupt, overacts at the best of time, makes money by forced state child kidnapping and marketing. NJDCPP, I'm not sure what that is 100% corrupt and dangerous. I don't think that people are making all the right decisions all the time, right? But what is the actual problem? The actual problem is that we need to not have children into circumstances where we can't raise them in the first place. We need to not have children. Now, men and women get together, they have sex and they get pregnant, and that's just life. And that's going to happen. The only meaning of life is children. I don't care if you think, no, I find meaning in my work and my art and in my other relationships. No, sorry, the very existence, the meaning of our very existence is to have children, to die for their children to have children. Okay, that's the only meaning of life when you boil it down. And if we are not going to examine the true root, what I think is the true root, if we're not going to examine that people that are incapable of raising children are having children every second of the day, and I'm not talking about people because they are in a difficult situation, a country of famine or war. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about people that are basically at war with themselves, at war with their own stability, and they're having children. Meghan made a decision. We don't know how many children, the 3 children that were originally taken, all from the same father. Meghan had 3 children, and then she decided to have another one. She didn't even have those children with her. Was she fighting for those children, or was she living a life a different way without those children and moving on? And, it should have been the last thing on her mind. Now, things happen, but she knew what was going to happen, and she needed to think, I cannot afford for a child to be born because that child will suffer because I had that child, because that child will be taken away. Why did she think she was somehow going to suddenly be above the system that she probably had opportunities to work with, okay? And she didn't. She's instead, people, they will talk. They won't answer directly. They will talk about everything else. Oh, now we're going to talk about the Freemasons, the Underground Railroad, the foster system, and all the kids medicated in the foster system, and children sold over and over again. And, these things, right? And Trump, and as I was saying before, John Sinatra and the Brat Pack, and the truth about all of this, and the mob. Oh, I'm sorry, Meghan Walsh. I thought you were talking about your 3 children that you gave birth under whatever roof you were living in at the time, to which other parent at the time, the ones that for some reason got taken away. You're saying it's all about, it's Frank Sinatra took your children? Fuck off. Get real. Frank Sinatra didn't take your children. Your father didn't take the children because he's trafficking your children, even though essentially to traffic something is to deal in something. It's a legal trade. It is a legal trade. He's not taking them and moving them on somewhere else. He wants to adopt your children so that they remain in the family, so that they remain in an incredibly privileged position. Sure, maybe being John Walsh means that people are in danger because he's John Walsh going after criminals, putting people in jail maybe. And maybe that means that people need bodyguards and the like. Well, that seems pretty caring to have some bodyguards. She's clearly dysfunctional. And if she's trying to sound sane, maybe even if she knows that this is all true, trying to be a whistleblower like this at this time is completely inappropriate to getting her own children back. I feel like she's basically just said, yeah, keep him. Sorry. You know, she's not doing herself any favors. These people are using her. And hey, Bo Evans, hello. This is a first live, so it's really this is amateur hour. This is amateur hour. But why would she be going on these platforms that she's going to platforms she knows are going to listen to her waffle? I know, I can talk waffle. This is what I do. Okay? And it's a style of, it's a certain type of speak. It's designed to blur, confound, confuse, to bury. She's burying the truth. She's burying the truth of her own situation. She's never answered this question, but I think it's going to be, you know, John Walsh will be citing mental health. I mean, why else? And that, you know, he thinks the children are in danger. Now, he could be just a megalomaniac, but why at his age, why on earth would you want to get, you know, start parenting children again, right? Maybe because he's deeply concerned for their well-being. She will get certain people on her side, Elizabeth. Trust me, there's that, and it's going to be that loud minority, you know, that the squeaky spoke of the wheel, or whatever the expression is. But they will be these factions, and they're going to take her up, and they're going to take her up just because it's something to talk about. I guess that's what I'm doing, but I'm very interested in this. I'm not going to use it to promote my conspiracy theory beliefs, though, right? She will, but they're going to be all the same type of group, the same type of activists and advocates who never really nail anything down, and they're all working very hard, and they cite figures and facts, right? Esbrook says, being reckless and getting pregnant is a cry for help in those situations, I think, because it's easy to do without regard of the consequence. And, you know, that makes a lot of sense, Esbrook, yes. And, you know, and it is the decision of someone desperate, sure, but a decision of someone overwhelmed and just with the inability to look further ahead. And it would have been something for her to have and to focus on, maybe to somehow dream about that somehow this might work out. Or was it just because she knew this is gonna, I don't know, is it? I mean, she must have known. And a truly selfless person would never have done that to a soul. That soul exists now. You can't eradicate that. That person knows they were born knowing they were going to be taken away. I can't get over what she has done to this little baby's life. Now, no, not everyone should reproduce. And in villages, in primitive societies, there were places for people. There were places for uncles. There were places for the spinster maiden aunts, which I guess, you know, that would now be me. You know, and there's also, you know, there's people that just can't, or they feel like they don't want to because they are frightened of raising a child around their own psychology. And they do that out of love. They don't bring a child into the world because they don't want to damage that child. This is not what Meghan Walsh has done. Meghan Walsh did the exact opposite. We don't know when her problems started. Did they start with the first child? Did they start when Grace Cho says John Walsh didn't take the 5-day-old? She went into the system. He's definitely no saint. No, Grace, yeah. John Walsh has the older children, and then Meghan got pregnant again, so she knew CPS were going to take that child. Of course, this child had to go into care. Okay? Saint or sinner, you say he's no saint. Yeah, of course, we don't know. We don't know everything he's done in his life. No one is perfect. Everyone is fallible. Everybody is multifaceted. Everyone is dark and light. It's how it is. Bob J says CPS family courts have nothing to do. CPS family courts have nothing to do other than state genocide. Sorry, no time to discuss. Apologies. We've suffered thousands of others. Every country, yeah, a lot of countries have history of genocide. For example, Australian governments famously, infamously, devastatingly, they have destroyed whole races have been destroyed. The Maori race, the Tasmanian Aboriginals, we take out other human beings as well as, other animal species, don't we? Yeah. Yeah, Elizabeth Lander says it also attached possibly. Yes. Yeah, Esbrook, this little baby was 5 days old, and she actually had the child at a house with her. The child wasn't taken from her in hospital like they might normally. But fuck, okay? She's filming. She's sitting there. She's filming. She's got baby here. Do you see this shit? I am so sorry. This is just gorgeous. Oh, sorry, but it's Australia and it's winter. But got a perspiration problem. I need to just buy some of that toxic aluminium deodorant again that actually stops sweat coming out of your pores, but I just don't like to use it, which is why I wanted to put a top on before. But anyway, so she's holding her little baby, this 5-day-old baby. She's not just sitting there letting it suckle for the last times and as a comfort, and it's sort of a bit grisly, and she's just going shh, shh, which at first seems like she's just going shh, shh, hush little, hush, but she's not, she's not, it's shush, shush, and she's trying to listen to what's happening, and she's filming, showing, out into the home, and, there's a man there that's, talking to police and trying to negotiate, going, what's going on, and she's not going, not my baby, no, not my baby. Can you admit? She's not. She's saying, and the blah, 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 just sparking up with, and this is fraud, and it's trafficking, and it's, fuck, lady. She makes me so sick. She made me furious. Seeing that made me furious. Always and forever ADOS. Why is she speaking with an accent? Yes, What is a Woman, Emily G? I've been watching the little snippets of Matt Walsh's What is a Woman documentary with all the butthurt trans crusaders who think that trans rights are above human rights. Yes, wear a sleeved shirt, place ladies lightweight cemetery napkins. Oh my goodness. Okay, so the little, yes, okay. Because yes, I really don't like to use aluminium, but I used to use it. Do you know, fun fact, I used to only sweat out of this arm. This one never did. This one grew hair. This one never did. But I've noticed now as I age, I don't know, aging is terrible. Aging's awful. Don't start me on menopause. Oh, Tat Von B Tat. Hi from Perth, Tat Von B Pat. Tat. How's the Indian Ocean over there? I swam in the Indian Ocean once in my life. I swear to God, it was so different to the Pacific. I just knew it. And it was one of the most amazing experiences. Getting old suck smell, Max says. Just trying to see what Emily says. Emily G says, maybe he's worried that Meghan could be some variety of Andrea Yates if it is a mental health issue. The life he's led would make him more fearful, controlling, protective, drastic measures. Yeah, and look, he probably does have a lot of influence. He still had to take the same legal course, but sure, he can pay for great lawyers. He can probably influence people. But that's, it's a big call for us to say, yeah, judge just got, oh, it's the great John Walsh. She knows all about child abuse. Yeah, I'm going to just sign this off without looking at the facts. He still had to go through some procedure, and beautiful. Too many sharks, though. Yeah, the people that get eaten, though, Tat Von B Tat, when they are surfing amongst the seal colonies at dusk, or they go out at dawn, or they're surfing in the river mouths, and then people go out and hunt these great white sharks, etc., and they shouldn't. And when all the big apex predators are being taken out of the system, everything gets out of flux. Our oceans are dying. They're filled with the jelly blobs eating up everything. It's sickening. We need to leave nature to itself, but humans can never stop meddling. Heels in the air. She has some interesting ideas about Petito's connection to her brother Adam. This is all going to start circling around, isn't it? Back to Gabby Petito being in the Sandy Hook massacre song video that came out after someone made this little, this lovely song about it, and Gabby appeared in that as an actress, right? She was in that. Look, Alan Jones has got a lot of explaining to do. He tried to apologize many times for what he said about Sandy Hook. He heels in the air. She made the connection herself. Yeah, because, Petito's father lives in a certain area and now he's moved into another area. Look, there's plenty of weird things about Brian Laundrie, Gabby Petito, their tragedy. It's folklore. It's going to be enthralling people for decades. People are going to be examining that and all the bizarre things. I mean, I truly thought that Brian Laundrie got away on a boat only because I didn't factor in how truly heinous his parents were, I knew they had to be fucked up. And I should have known something really off could happen because they, the instance where he flew back for the week, they were helping packing the things. I should have just let my thoughts roll on further and say, yeah, we can take this to the limit. There is nothing, there's no limit to their sickness. But I just wanted to believe they were parents helping their son. I guess they were in an air. I thought he was on a boat too, says Melmac, yeah. I mean, they easily could have gotten him away on a boat. They could have done it. Isn't it a crazy, crazy world? Because now what we're privy to, everything is open to interpretation and manipulation and exploitation, and it's so hard to understand truth. And I think we've just got to really keep going. I mean, this is so anti-logic in a way, but we've got to keep going with our gut on a lot of things, right? We've got to go with our gut, that when people start sparking up, that the wells, this is all part of this. We've got to go with our gut and say, no, something happened to that child. Maybe Candace Bly was out of it. She wasn't watching her child for 2 hours and now she's covering up. We just need to trust what is right in front of our faces and not let people influence us who have their own agendas, Yes. Oh, yes, it's clear that that's what they did, Emily G. Assisting Brian Laundrie and, removing himself from this mortal coil. Tat Von B Tat says that poor baby Summer will never be found. No. It's possible. I don't think she's far away, but I think because there are some very there's some wild terrain around. But, I think she's probably in a 20-mile radius of Ben Hill, maybe even a 20. Actually, I'd say, 20K radius, I'd say. Oh, we've got 19 people in. We've got 23 thumbs up. Thank you so much. That's amazing. I don't know. I didn't think anyone would be here when I went. I just went, I'll push this button and see what happens. Bo Evans, can I ask your opinion on BG or wait for the next live? Who wants to talk about BG? Anyone? Bo, what's your opinion on BG? And Bo, J Omen 112 said you went over to the occultist and wrote a nice comment there for me, so I appreciate that. Thank you. I didn't see it. It was probably removed. I'm not going to go and have another look, but yeah, thank you. Just a quick one on Ron Logan. Are you going to give your quick opinion on Ron Logan, or you want mine on Ron Logan? Thank you for having us. Tennessee Mountain High says, hope to see you again. Thank you for being here, Tennessee Mountain High. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate your point of view to do with, the broken system. It is a broken system of CPS. I know it does traumatize a lot of people. Kids in the foster system are shuffled around. They're not placed with thought and care, and they're placed into danger often. And this is all fact. Whenever I speak up against certain things, it's because I feel like people are using that to support and to lie about themselves. That's okay. Tennessee Mountain High, I really, I do understand the damage, the brokenness. It's a fact of life and it needs to be fixed. But we need to go to the source, and we need to go to the source by protecting what enabled human beings to be here now. And that is a nuclear family and a village and thoughtful parenting. Even if cultures have, they're bringing up children in ways that are so alien, there are still tribes that war and then they cannibalize because, their belief system is to, to stop being haunted by the spirits of the dead. Sure, right? But, even that is a strong culture, strong people, and a lot of people growing up in these ways, they don't have this mental illness. It's not rife. Okay? Look where mental illness is rife, and it's in this society where we need to start being more thoughtful about what the real cause is here. CPS, it shouldn't have to exist. It wouldn't exist, right? We wouldn't have a welfare system if we didn't need it. Emily G says, what is BG? I call him a bridge troll, Emily, but BG is just how the world at large describes bridge guy, who's the person that was caught. I feel like it might even be a series of, what's that word when you take the shutter speed, a series of photos at once. He's walking across the Monon High Bridge, and he's thought to be involved in the murders of Abigail Williams and Liberty German in Delphi. So sorry, I'm just trying to see. Bo Evans says, every time I see BG, I see Ron Logan's flat face, just saying. So you're seeing grey hair, you're seeing a moustache. Ron Logan's face, this is the thing about Ron Logan's face, and I urge you to do this, Bo. Take the mugshot of Ron Logan, split it in half, double that over, do it again, double it over. He is the most unsymmetrical person you will see. He is a true comedy tragedy. Okay, it just plays into the theatre of everything, okay? Elizabeth Bunny is Emily G, sorry. It just plays into the theatre. He's got just this weird, this upturn, this smile, this sort of more, and then this other side, which is completely different, okay? And not that we can see much of Ron Logan's face. I don't think you can say BG, a face looks like anyone's face, and I don't, no matter what, Harvemeister, Harvey Carroll Jr. is saying he's got the pork chop that he says is part of David McCain's face, right? I don't think we see enough face to know. I don't see Ron Logan's face. I don't see Ron Logan on the bridge because I don't see a tall enough man. I don't see the right body type. But I know a lot of people do see him on the bridge. Now, the timing is I won't start going into that because it'll confuse some other people. We will talk about that a bit more later. Emily G, what happened to the Turpin sisters is a fucking disgrace. There should be more known about that. Tat Von B Tat says RL was very frail man on bridge, looked fitter and younger. Yeah, look, certainly Ron Logan was quite frail when he got out of jail and was on house arrest after that for a year or so. But before that, for his age, he would have been reasonably robust. But you know, I can see why he's divisive. You know, he's not a saint. And again, people aren't either saints or sinners. We are all light and dark. And I can see why people question a lot of things, right? It's just personally, I don't believe that he's the BG. And I personally don't think that he murdered Abby and Libby. He had his own ideas about it. Some of them seem at odds with each other because he said just, you know, probably just as human, he's changed his ideas over the years. You know, at one point he thought, oh, this person's long gone, you're all right, you know, it's safe out there again because this guy's just someone that's blown through. At other times he's looked suspiciously at the families because he knows that, you know, they're both filled up in their family tree with people who are quite serious felons. Apep Jones says he thinks BG's face was, you know, blurred out maybe by law enforcement. Yeah, I mean, it's possible. I mean, those pictures they are queer. It's queer how Abby is standing on the bridge, just sort of, you know, in the hands in the pockets. I mean, yeah, you could believe that that her image has been put onto that bridge. I can see why conspiracy theorists and everything run with things like that. But I think coming up with things, I mean, how can I say this? I think people, when they're trying to work out in their own minds for whatever reason, just out of interest or because they really want to solve the case or whatever, I think we have to be really cautious to be respectful of these girls, what they went through, what, you know, I'll just say that. Yeah, it's really he's just dressed like a daggy old man. Look, this is for sure. And there was a time when I you know, my idea was that, yeah, he's in his 40s and blah, 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 blah. And some of you may know my theory on left-handedness, you know. But yeah, I did think was an older man. Law enforcement want you to be considering someone who's 18 to 40, who has reddish brown hair and who is between 5'6" and 5'10". However, they don't have that on the FBI website as the description. There's no description at all, right? You just hope that I want this wrapped up, namely, I mean, mainly just so that it can just shut a lot of people up who are doing a lot of harm, you know, just quiet that village of the damned. They can move the fuck on, although a lot of them won't. You could arrest the killer, they could confess, and they'll still be talking about it in derogatory terms. But, you know, I hope we get to the end of this and we don't see utter, you know, see this, see a whole heap of bullshit and jelly beans going on by law enforcement, you know, all the games and everything. Sorry, it's just a bit hard to speak on it. You're a saint? Elizabeth Land is a saint. Oh, yeah, I'm sure. What do you think of the BG video being taken at night and that's why the quality is so bad? I say, no, it wasn't. BG looks sloppy and unkempt. Yeah, he does. He's not, he's not wearing good fitting clothing. He's like in clothes that you would wear because you don't want to get your good clothes dirty if you're working on your car or something like that, right? But again, I mean, it's also probably the uniform of a lot of men throughout, certain areas of America or around the world that, they're not fashion plates. They're not fashionable. I mean, just look at the videos, there's plenty of videos that people bring out to say, let's make this comparison with, Pat Brown, for example. Well, look at how he dresses. Look at how Ron Logan dresses. People dress like this, right? They're not living in a city and trying to impress. They're not working in a corporate office or whatever, right? They're farmers, they're blue-collar workers, or they're skilled labor, etc., etc. It's just not unusual, I don't think. So it makes you think, well, this person has known exactly the type of countryside they're going into, and it is a disguise. So that's... Or, he's just somewhere from around there. He's not actually wearing a disguise. He's just wearing regular stuff and he knows that it's going to be common enough. Unkempt is a word though, Elizabeth, and unkept. Yeah, he looks a bit unkept. And, yeah, possibly he is. Possibly he's someone that had a relationship breakup. I'll say this about... I'll just quickly say to you, thank you for being here, everyone, because I know, people will be dropping off, and I've been on for a while, and this is just a bit very casual, and I'm not giving sound bites and everything. So as you go, clearly that's fine. Thank you for being here, but just before anyone else goes, and if I haven't thanked you while you've been on, thank you. So, when people are talking... Again, when I speak up against, okay, why would this be revenge? Why wouldn't they just kill Derek German? Okay. And why would they take Abigail Williams in if Derek German was the target? They think when I question this that I don't believe that these hits actually happen. Of course, these hits happen all the time. And, plots have recently been stopped and uncovered by law enforcement where, gangsters were plotting to take out informants, and the police stop it. And they stop these type of crimes all the time too. And they do happen. I'm not delusional, I'm not that naive, but I just don't believe that it would have been done like that. I don't believe they would just... they just don't come up with that idea. Yeah, well, we'll just kill Libby. That'll show him. That'll learn him. That's going to send a message. No, it's sending a very confusing message, right? It's sending a confusing message. It's not sending a message that was a hit, unless you'd have to be really in the know. It's just not sending a broad message to not be a wanker. No, because it... And would you... It is insane to think that, yeah, that collateral damage of Abigail Williams, that's all right too. No. No. That is insane to me. Even these disgusting killers, they're not going to do that. These disgusting killers go into jail and they brutalize people that have killed children. It's just, I don't think it's... Unkempt is... object. A Pip Jones thinks that it was a crime of passion. I'll take that to mean that you think that it was a butt-hurt incel, someone like Keegan Klein. I mean, it's either a sexually violent, deviant adult, person, who these girls could have been anyone, or yeah, it's someone, that is taking a whole lot of hate and loathing and rejection and everything out onto little girls. And yeah, I mean, if anyone's got incel written all over him, it's Keegan Kline. APEP doesn't think Keegan was the murderer. Alex says, oh my God, I'm back. I had the longest call. Oh, thanks for coming back. That's very sweet. We are talking about Delphi a little bit now, Alex Erickson. So APEP, if you don't think it was Keegan, like, are you meaning that you think it was someone like that, though? Someone, a close relationship to Libby, nothing to do with her parents, but her private personal life? This is definitely a possibility. This should, of course, be on the cards. I don't see why not. I made a video about this specifically, bringing up some of the times that teens have killed teens and why, or the reasons that they get. We know this happens, right? So mostly they're caught. So the difference is here, were they just very lucky, or was this perpetrator someone, a little more sophisticated than that, right? Than these psychopathic teens, because it seems that there is a level of sophistication here. Some will say they're only getting away with it because law enforcement are letting them get away with it and all of that, right? But curious what you think of the man whose property they were on, Alex says. Yeah, so Alex, Ron Logan, the unlucky chump, whose land the girls were found on. I think he's a man that had his own demons, and I don't think he had anything to do with it, but I'm open to the fact that, I can be wrong, to the level of he was some sort of fall guy, and maybe by someone that does know of some of his worst character traits, right? But I don't know. I don't even think it's anything to do with that at all, really. But, this is the mystery, isn't it? APEP thinks it was someone that Libby knew. So APEP, do you think it's someone that Libby knew through them being a person of power to her in some regards? So if it's someone like a teacher, a mentor, a coach, a family friend, something like that, is that what you mean, APEP Jones? Him wanting the alibi is weird. Yeah, the alibi is weird, Alex, but the thing about the alibi is he didn't know enough to cover the actual time, and his alibi doesn't cover the time when the girls would have been being murdered. So he didn't want an alibi for the time that he was going to the transfer station, the waste station, or what we call the dump in New Zealand, because, he knew the girls had gone missing in the afternoon sort of thing, and he'd driven out there and back. And then the timing is funny, okay. I wasn't going to talk about this. I'll just briefly say, he's leaving sort of around 2:30. He's asked his cousin to give an alibi, but, later he's a bit vague. Was it 3 o'clock, something like that. He doesn't really try to cover the time perfectly, which he would have, I think. I really truly believe, look, you know, he knows that he was driving without a license. He was on probation. He only had a little bit of time to go and on his probation, but he just, you know, wanted his independence. What he really actually should have done is he should have actually asked his cousin to come and get him and drive him. Oh, Elizabeth is bottle feeding a kitten. That's delightful. So, you know, it is very murky. It is very murky. There's a lot of fodder there for people to talk about Ron Logan. And, you know, I can understand that, but I think if they start really breaking it down, yeah. One thing I hope does not happen is I hope that the coroner's reports aren't now going to start, you know, things like that aren't going to start coming out. It's gone far enough with what's being released in the manner that it's being released, purely because, sorry, I keep starting thoughts that I don't want to finish. And that's not really how to talk clearly. So did APEP Jones, you were saying that you think it's someone Libby German knew. Libby German was the older girl. She's the 14-year-old. Who is the granddaughter of Becky Patty, step-granddaughter of Mike Patty. So who do you have a theory on who you think it is? Grace Cho asks, you don't think it was the old man whose property they were found on? 100% not, Grace. No, it makes zero sense. 0 cents. And they didn't find a drop of blood. They, you know, no. Just no. It's just ludicrous. Yeah. To me. Yeah, so yeah. Did I miss anything back here? APEP Jones, you said before you think law enforcement have erased BG's face from that 1.8 second piece of a 43-second video, may not be an actual video, that we see. What purpose would that serve? Bo Evans says, how about a quick question about JSB? Lol. I have a lot of questions I'd like to ask you. Pick your brain a little. Maybe now isn't the time. JSB. I'm just a bit blank with who JSB is, Bo. Alex Erickson says, why would he kill them and put them on his own property? It doesn't make a ton of sense logically. Exactly, Alex Erickson. Also, I mean, look, sure, someone might feel they'll be safe on my own property, but not so. Why leave them on his property so close to where they actually were last? Wouldn't you just want to make them disappear in a puff of smoke? He didn't try to cover them. They weren't buried on his property. They weren't in a septic tank. They weren't, you know, does he have a furnace where he's burning, you know, he would have ways and means. I mean, he went to a transfer station. Did he try to discard anything there? You know, he went before, not after. No. And yeah, it doesn't make sense logically to me either, Alex. You know, and Ron Logan, he needed a bit more support, right? Because here's a guy that is driving without his license. He's got this month to go on probation when the murders occur. He's devastated. And, you know, the land that he's lived on, he's not from there, right? His accent is different. He's not from Indiana, but he lived there for decades. He's got this property there, you know, this simple home, some outbuildings, and it's a very important piece of land that he's just happened to get. And it's tainted to him now. At the end of his life, this is what he had to live with. He would never stop thinking of those little girls. And so he needed some support. And he made a very terrible decision, a wrong decision that puts lives in danger. He couldn't help it. He probably got sick of drinking home alone. He just needed to be around people, maybe. And he's gone out somewhere and he's been drinking and he's gotten caught. And he's been a repeat offender of this type of action. It can kill innocent people on the roads. He could have run over a child. He could have hit someone's dog. You know, he could have bowled into a house. He could have run himself off the road and killed himself. He could have gone headfirst into a truck. It's a menacing thing to do as far as safety. And so, it hurts me to think of him being put in jail at that time, but, he kind of really brought it on himself. But maybe at the time he was needing a lot of support. Where was all the support going? And so, did he have a support worker? We're talking about these organizations. Where was someone from an organization saying, hey, I'm here, I'm an advocate for victims, and this Ron Logan was a victim. Where was his person calling in on him every day? Did someone decide to make sure he's getting meals, that his house is clean, that he wasn't tempted to drive? Did someone go and offer to drive him places if he needed to go? Did they say, I'll get your groceries? We'll go into town. We can go out for a meal. Where the fuck were people? Sorry, but this makes me so furious. And then he had nothing at the end of his life but just fucking harassment. And from people that I bet you $1 50% of those people do not really care. They are in it because this is what they do. They do things for a platform, for the attention. I can't, so sorry, I didn't intend to get so grumpy about that, but that's just what I think about Ron Logan, and do try to be a bit more measured when I talk about him. But it makes me so furious. Sorry. Apex Jones. He says, when I first saw the case, before I had any details, my first instinct, I was thinking it was a sting operation that went wrong. The imagery is clearly tampered with, in my opinion. He's leaning toward a family member today. Controversial, but that's where my research has taken me. Okay. It is sad, Tat Von B, Tat. Ron Logan does have a son, and but I think he's a little bit of a pariah in some circles, and he hasn't always been a great guy, and he's a bit rough, but he didn't deserve what happened. Lipsha Morrissey says, according to the state of Indiana itself, he wasn't there. Surveillance video proved it. Could he have been tipped off? Hey, you don't want to be around on Monday. Look, and sure, that's possible too, but I feel like if I was being told to get off my own land because something nasty might happen, I might say, you can fuck off. What the fuck are you going to do? Nothing is going to happen. That's going to make me stand here with my rifle. You know, so what power? Who has this power over Ron? And when we're kind of on this sort of angle, the power and everything, oh, you know, so this was all, you know, and he was part of it because he was set up so that he would be put in prison because of negative gearing on his property with his mortgage. You have to be living on the property, and this is how they were going to take his land. Did they take his land? Do the McCains have Ron Logan's land? No. Can I just be rude and go and get some papaya ointment? It'll be 3 seconds. And just another water. I'm so sorry. You know, when you're talking a lot, and sorry. Just put some, you know, when you're talking a lot and then suddenly you realize that you just have no flexibility left in your lips. Do Americans, sorry, it's backwards because I've got my screen facing so I can see the chat. Do you have paw ointments in America? This is a big thing in Australia. It's a really soothing lotion that you can use anywhere. This one's got macadamia nut oil in it as well. Anyway, that's what I'm using. So, sorry. Alex says, okay, I really do need to lay down and I'm listening in. Oh, thank you so much, Alex. Thank you for being here. I love all your comments. Does everyone here watch Alex Erickson? So Alex is a southern gal from Tennessee. She's so amazing, and she's been running a channel for a little while now. She recently went to Hawkins County and did a really wonderful job. So go and have a look. I think when this posts up and you can do comments, I think the best way is if people who have got channels, if you can make a comment in the comments, it means that anybody who wants to can just click on your channel there and find you that way, because sometimes it's hard to find people when you're trying to search and things like that. Channels don't always come up. So that's an easy way to do it, and because I'm not sure, I can't try and go and cut and paste people, put links in and everything like this. Alex Erickson, if you like listening, I really urge you, if you go to Zavgirl and listen to Tiff and Bella, and I think Bella Lugosi, I think that's her name, and I've yet to go on her channel yet, but I think what she does is read audiobooks, but they read out transcripts and books and things like that together, and they're amazing, and that is so good to listen to when you need to just lay down, relax, and listen. They read out a whole lot of Dali Rautier transcripts, and they recently looked at a case of Candy and Betty and Ellen, this love triangle that ended in axe murder. And as I was saying at the start of this this live, I can't even believe I'm going live. And that this was where I learned of Meghan Walsh's situation, because someone mentioned her. Anyway. But yeah, everyone, if you're not with Alex, please check in. Hi, Lila. Lila says, hello, I'm going to go back to the beginning later and listen. Oh, that's great. We've been talking about Meghan Walsh, and then we were talking about Abby and Libby's murder case. Lila listens to Alex. I'm not much of a commenter though. Yeah, and you know what? There's two types of people in the world, aren't there? There's people that'll comment and people that don't. And I flip from one to the other. People get sick of me. I'm everywhere. But I think one thing they might not realize is I am a viewer, and that's why I'm comment. A lot of creators don't go and make comments everywhere. Oh, they are watching, but they're not, commenting as if they're just a viewer and interacting and things. But I think, you're either a listener or, and some people like to participate a bit more, but listening is fabulous. Just listening, you are participating and you are a part. And that's just how some people's style is, isn't it? Will you have a Alex? John Adjurin said, I wish I knew how to actually say your name. Often I recognize names and I'm never sure if I'm saying them right. John Adorjan says, I thought we were getting some scotch. Oh, trust me. Look, I love scotch, but I love it a little too much. So you can't, if anyone's, some people might have been on my channel for a while. Some might have been here at the start and never came back, wouldn't know what I talk about now. Sorry about all this. I know, does this revolt you? I mean, should I go and... I didn't know this was going to happen. So, so some people will know that I've talked a little bit about things like the Sinclair method. So... Sorry, have I just cut off a conversation that we were having about something else and I'm going to start talking about something else? Lila says she always does a thumbs up straight away though. Oh, Lila, that's awesome. Do you know what? I do too. Thumbs downs don't show now. But I don't think there's anything I've ever thumbs down where I haven't given a comment as to why. Because I don't know, it's like, and it's kind of like putting your shoes off and leaving them at the door when you come in, isn't it? Thumbs up. Or, when you leave, put your shoes back on or, whatever. And, do a thumbs down or a thumbs up. It is feedback. It helps people's algorithms. But I think if you do down something, I actually think it's important to say why. APAP Jones said, if you watch the video, you should. Oh, yeah, if you watch their video. Well, it still plays into views. I don't think you should if you don't watch the video, APAP Jones. I don't think if you just sign in, decide it's not for you, and sign out, that you should give it a thumbs up or thumbs down. I guess, okay, so what I do, I'll either sign into something and sign out. I'm just not, maybe I just don't have time to listen, or it's not a subject I'm not interested in, or I don't really get it. If I just go right out again, I'm not just going to go, oh, that sucks, thumbs down. That makes absolutely no sense to me. But when I watch and I listen, I have to admit I give less likes now. I'm more likely to do nothing. But if I give a thumbs up, a thumbs down, I feel like people need feedback. And if I give a thumbs up, I don't always, you don't have to always say why you like it. It could just be for support or because you believe in it or it was entertaining. But if there's something that really made you do it, also give the thumbs up, right? Yeah, anyway. Lila says you can give a thumbs up even if you disagree. Yeah. 100% Lila. And some people will say that makes no sense. It's like, no. You might have differing opinions, but you appreciate the discourse. You appreciate that someone's actually bringing something to the fore, or you might appreciate the work that went into it. I mean, I watch things that have got things that go, oh, I'm diametrically opposed to that, but wow, this has made me think, or most of it's something, it was informative or whatever, and you can still thumbs it up. Yeah, absolutely, Lila. I like how you brought that up, because that was something I neglected to say, but that's a very good point. APEP says if it entertains you, why not show your appreciation? Yeah, exactly. I think I will say this at the what's the word? Oh gosh, I'm losing my words. I'm going to show age or something, I don't know, but I feel like we all have very short attention spans now, and people are making these very quick judgments. And when I was growing up in the 70s, a half-hour news show would be like this. There would be two main stories in a half-hour show. They would talk for 15 minutes minus the ad break and the introduction on one story, and it might be about, say, the Prime Minister at the time, Peggy Muldoon, Robert Muldoon, and it would be an in-depth story talking about something that was going on at the time, and proper journalism presented by the talking head, who was a proper journalist. And then there would be, maybe a brief lighter story in the middle, or a few quick news headlines. And then there would be the second story following on, and it would be usually politics, crime, etc. But, in depth, and you felt informed, and it felt real. And this isn't the case now. And news is scrolling along the bottom of the screen, right? It's all sound bites, and think of the poor grammar, and stop. I can't go down that track. But we have no patience. It's a society of instant gratification that we need. We don't give people time. We don't give time to people to understand them, to hear them, to accept them, to process them. We want to be entertained with connection. I lost connection briefly, did I? It said reconnecting. Did you guys notice something happened there? Oh, this is so tragic, isn't it? Sorry, I'm such an amateur. Bo Evans says, by the way, happy belated birthday. Thank you, honey. That's very kind. Grace Cho says, I'm no thanks. No thanks. Doug is discussing the Walsh case now too. Okay. Exactly the sort of person, as I was saying, that, he's had, this is the type of channel that's going to be taking up this cause celebra, right? Not cerebral, cause celebra. And that just has brought me back to a very, very, very old memory. Basically, the reason why I am in Australia is because a nightclub it used to be Cause Celeb in the high street of Auckland, but that is just too much of a tangent. Yeah. Elizabeth Lander says, I ask for the customer service supervisors when they have done a good job. I want to brag on them and have it go on their record. People need praise. Yes, people do not give praise and credit where it's due. We are just quick to inflict wounds, aren't we? We are very cruel, nasty. We tear people down. And this is even people just trying to help us, okay? And all people that are helping people constantly feeling like, okay, I need to be processing this through, this isn't personal. When that person is not, even considering how they're affecting others. Depends on the situation, because sometimes people are just, do you know what? Sorry, this is going to be something I'm going to do. I'm going to often have to just chop off things, and it's going to be very frustrating, but I've got a reason for it. Lila didn't notice a problem. Okay. I think a couple of people disappeared as well. But yeah, it just said reconnecting on here, because this is why I thought I couldn't really go live. I didn't think my Wi-Fi or whatever would do it. Lila says, we don't give people much of a chance if we aren't wowed right away. Right. Now, Alex Erickson, I am a huge hypocrite, right? Because I came across Alex Erickson's channel, and I was just really loving how she spoke and what she said, and how she's saying it. And I was so curious. I thought, wow, this is the type of channel that needs, this is a channel that needs to go places. This is who we need. This is a real person, right? And then just because, I got a little bit triggered with a little bit of woo that might have come in there, right? A little bit of, we'll talk it to a psychic or something. I didn't compartmentalize that out and, and go, okay, I need to give this more time and just see as a whole, etc. Because I thought, where is this going to go? And then because I usually like to give a reason to people, I said something which she took the wrong way, but I was basically saying, oh gosh, anyway, Alex will remember that probably. I won't say any further, but yes, we do need to give people more time. And now, I couldn't hold Alex in higher regard. I think she's absolutely fabulous. I support so many women that are on the tubes, doing this so much more, infinitely much more better. Excuse me? Doing this so much better than I am. That I've just stuck with for years. You don't give up on people. And I don't agree with everything they say. But, I've been in Jules's car driving around as a passenger for bloody years. I don't agree with every review say that, things have, with everything to do with, say, the Morphew case, but she's got 100% my support. Kit, who used to be Kitty Cat, she's got an amazing channel. Kit is amazing. She's highlighting crime cases all across America all day, every day, regardless of her own personal struggles. And she's incredible. I would never abandon her, and we wouldn't have the same view on things either. But boys, if you're a humanimal, you really are an honorable woman when it comes to this. But, woman to woman out there, we need to stick together. We really need to support each other. We need to see everyone's individual brilliance and gifts, or just the humanity, okay? And we can't cut each other down. We need to really stand by each other. It's hard enough as it is, right? And wherever we can get our support networks, don't destroy them, And sometimes things are destroyed just for, such inconsequential reasons. A. Pep Jones says, yes, it's so hard to grow a channel even with solid content. Lila says, yes, I read that one. James Preston. Hi, James. Good afternoon. He says, how are you all? MYG is giving a smiley face. Can I just go and get some more water? Sorry. I like to drink out of my Nana's. Sorry, Gran. My Gran's teacups. So, where were we? Are we still going? Is everyone happy to stay? I mean, I'm tired. I'm probably being very boring, but if you want to stay and chat, let me know. If you'd like to go, don't feel like you have to stay. Let me know. What do you reckon? Is there more to talk about right now? You know, we've been discussing Meghan Walsh. We will be talking about that more because all of the things that are part of her situation are things that people hear. It is near and dear to our heart. We know there is a deeply ruined, damaged system, and real human beings are suffering because of it. John is in, if you're on. I don't know if I'm on. Am I ever on? It's funny because, you know, it's very funny. Peculiar, not hilarious. It's funny because making the videos that I do and talking about the things that I talk, I do wonder what people must think of my personality, because I'm not being entertaining. I'm not often really showing humor. I mean, yeah, I'm not being goofy. I'm not being, you know, there's always, you know, it's very hard to show your whole self, particularly when the reason why you're making a video might be on a really dark subject and you're talking about, you know, murder and child abuse and injustice and that sort of thing, right? So yeah, I'm never, you know, even though I hope that it always feels like we're just sitting down and we're having a chat, it's not like it would be to be here with me in real life, because it's not a hot, and same with what you guys get to be for me as well, because you do give so much to me. But of course, what you're able to give at the time is something that appears in text, and you're expressing it in a way that is because of your personality and who you are. But it's not all of who you are. It's like this isn't all of who I am as well, you know. And you know, in a way, we're all missing out on each other, right? And I just think we need to maybe remember that besides just that sliver of what we get from each other in exchange, there's more. There's more. There's a lot more. Humor, whackness, weirdness, you know, dark humor, silliness, quietness, you know, suffering, pain, secrets everyone's got, you know, and we should appreciate the slice that we have and also realize that it's part of the whole. Sorry, have I been yelling the whole time? I used to sit and talk in such a little modulated voice, didn't I? Now just it all hangs out. But you know, we've got to realize we're not, there's more. Anyway, how is that explaining anything at all? I don't know. I don't know. Lila says, oh my gosh, I can't imagine how much emotional energy goes into videos. I for sure would be less than polished. Lila, I will tell you now, it is exhausting sitting there just talking and recording, and that's what I do. I do it, it's basically exactly like this live. I just sit and I say it, and then I upload it. There's no editing, and it is actually, it is draining because that you don't have that interchange, that exchange of energy like you're giving me now. And it's easy to misspeak and for it not to be, you know, you might say a wrong word in a normal conversation. I mean, you know what you say, you just misspeak. You know what you mean to say. But, you know, a normal conversation, the person across from you will say, oh, did you mean to say? And you go, oh shit, of course. And things are clarified immediately, right? And it's organic and everything. And it is actually very emotionally taxing, physically taxing to sit and record even a half-hour video. And there's always things you leave out and everything like that. It is actually difficult, Lila. Often even as you're sometimes a little off, says John. I mean that as a compliment. And then Emily G says, philosophical thought. What if the world were praying for Amber? I know. Yeah. The world does need to pray for Amber and people like her, and expressing empathy, Emily continues on. Expressing empathy, even in the absence of hers. It's not exciting, but I wonder, would it be if it would be impactful? I think it would really make a tangible difference, Emily. If people could just take a minute and before they just keep reacting, can take a minute to let what I've experienced by watching this trial, just let it sink, settle, let it, you know, not fester, what's the word? Let it process, and yeah, I think a lot of commentary would be quite different. Tat says, you got a great personality. Thank you, Tat Von B. Tat. You are always a great pleasure to interact with. Emily says, your depth will resonate with people with self-aware depth who appreciate exploration. Your personality is enjoyable mostly, but you're not a one-dimensional robot. Yeah, I mean, look, we all know that I can be very unenjoyable. Yeah, that's perfectly fine to say because, you know I am. I mean, I have my issues. I have, you know, I'm not a highly controlled persona that, you know, I'm not just projecting this thoughtful, thought out persona. And at times, I'm a complete wreck. I know that. So, oh, this is so nice to see that. Excuse me, I'm gurgling. There are 35 thumbs up, and there's 10 people in here now. But it's nice to see that people did give a thumb. Probably as the creator of the video somewhere in studio, I'll find out how many down votes I've got. I don't even bother looking at them. Lila's going to put her head on a pillow for an early morning meeting. Oh, well, Lila, you sleep tight. And thank you for being here. Yeah, I hope you can drop off to sleep really easily and get a good night's rest. Emily says, I can say this because I know you know this about yourself. You're a wonderful, loving person, and sometimes you can't be all those things for reasons you're appreciated. You know, I do go off the deep end. I know I'm as triggered as the next person about so many things. And I mean, this is a reaction channel, isn't it, really? So that's what I do, is react to things. I react to things I see going on. So, of course, I'm going to be in different mindsets, etc., when I'm reacting to things, because I'll either feel good or bad about it. And that's what I do, because it's so that there is this dialogue, this other place to go where we can be a bit more open. And call me Tat, she said. Thanks, Tat. I know, sorry, I'm just in a bad habit there of just, I won't say Tat Von Bet again. Tat. Are you a tattoo artist or something like that? Do you know, it is so hard to find someone who will tattoo in certain places. It's really difficult. Yeah. How do you get a tattoo artist who will do something on a finger, for example? That's what I want to know. Because a lot of them won't, because they won't accept that you're not going to come back at them when you're unhappy with how it turns out. So sorry, anyone who's just listening. I'm actually just scrolling through comments just in case I missed something that that's right. This is what I wanted to come back to. I knew there was something that we didn't talk about but was brought up, and it was brought up by Bo. He said, how about a quick question about JSB? And I didn't know what JSB was. Can someone fill me in if Bo's not here? Tat says, can I ask something? Yes. To me directly, or yeah, you can ask. Do you believe it would be easy to love and live with an addict? Absolutely not. No, I don't believe it. Is that the situation you're in, Tat? I mean, people can try. The addict can try, and their partner can try, and they can sometimes succeed, I guess, but the trouble is that only an addict can decide when they are going to stop. And yeah, Oh, Bo says Jodie Sue Brown. Tat's a pathologist. Sorry. Because is it Tat Von B that's on Ink Master or something like that? But yeah, Tatiana maybe is, yeah. So pathologist, that's super interesting. You're a scientist. Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, that's excellent. You're a professional. Do you say Tatiana or Tatiana? Tatiana? Yeah, it's a beautiful name. The Tatiana I can think of is the pole vaulter who competed in the Olympics for Australia. She wasn't Australian by birth, but yeah, famous pole vaulter. She was beautiful. Not active addiction. Exactly, Emily. Not active addiction, and there's no guarantee after addiction either, because PTSD, for one thing. Thinking that can't be healed, addictive traits, whether you're an active addict or, that person has to go through healing, and that is a big ask for someone to be there for however long it takes for someone to get something through their system and become a real person, that whole thing. So, unless and if you've been, and if the other person has never been an addict, they're not going to get it. So, people say, you stick together if you share vices, and it's probably true. If you share X vices, maybe, but then there's always that chance that the other person is going to take you back into it if they go as well, or derail you in some way. It's so complicated because you're an addict for a reason, and yeah, relapse is absolutely a part of addiction, and that's the problem, isn't it? Relapse is a normal part. Tat has loved and lived with an addict. Yeah. Such a personal decision, Tat. If beyond the addiction you share values and you share goals, and if that person is as committed to themselves as they say they are committed to you, and if they are going to commit to it being a lifelong endeavor to stay as healthy as possible, and if when they feel like they're struggling, they talk about it, are open about it, and go and get the right help rather than allowing themselves to go back into addiction, why not? Every human soul is looking for that connection and that someone. Why should that person be alone? Why shouldn't you be with them? Just got to work out what the cost is going to be, and who's in danger, and what the yeah, no one should make that call for someone, but I do empathize with you. M says, I think the people who stick and stay and work around the chaos of addiction are people who are overly dependent on the addict. Yes. Or they're cockstruck, cunt-struck, may I say it? Sorry. We all know Johnny Depp was cunt-struck, and he was the addict. So was Amber Heard. Is that going to get me I don't know. Language is language. Those are English language words. Yeah. Yeah, and Tat agrees that there might be something to that comment of Emily that, that there's sometimes a lot at play. Do you need to be wanted? Do you need to be needed? Do you feel like, to be seen and valued is to be seen sacrificing? Did you grow up sacrificing in that way and it's all who knows? Yeah. Yeah, and people who are with addicts, the addict scares them. And I'm not saying this is because they are going to be physically harmed, etc. Their behavior scares them. Their choices scare them. And people are going through a whole lot, Yeah. Are you in this relationship now, Tat, or have you left the relationship? PTSD is just something that is probably quite misunderstood. Yeah. Not sure what I should say. What I should say next. If you don't mind, I'll sit here and see what you guys say. Is that all right? And then see what I can respond to. Tat says, he's clean now. Very hard life to go through. He's clean now, but I have fears all the time. I believe Amber does have PTSD. 100%. I believe that too. No matter, see, and here we go, as someone that's saying this on this video, not just in a comment sort of thing, me saying that opens me up to these people that are saying, you believe that? That they're saying that they think that by saying that, I'm saying that I believe everything Amber's said, that I'm just so on her side. We have to stop that type of thinking and that type of attack and that knee-jerk reaction. We need to just stop and engage a little bit more. It's exactly what I was saying about my feelings about Meghan Walsh. It doesn't mean that I don't know that there is suffering out there and that the system's broken, right? And it's the same with me agreeing with something that Tat said, that she believes Amber does have PTSD. Yes, Amber has PTSD, and my apologies. That just can exist without meaning a whole lot of other stuff, right? Not being very eloquent, am I? I'm a little bit tired, I guess. APEP says, it was nice to chat with you. I have to go to bed. Good night, APEP. Sleep tight. Hope you get a good night's rest. Thank you for being here. M says, I believe she could have PTSD from childhood, and yeah, I believe that too. Yeah. I think she's had some ongoing issues, and probably like Meghan, she was created by a number of things. Yeah. John says, I have a hard time maintaining just friendships with a few of my addicted alcoholic friends. It can be so exhausting. Yeah. Oh, you're just never getting anywhere, right? You're on the wheel. It's on a hamster wheel. And that's what I'm saying, that the person themselves, they have to do it. Tat says he's clean and sober. That is awesome, Tat. That is good. Yeah. One day at a time. You know, I put that song on my channel quite often. I'll post that song on, maybe by, you know, a choir from the islands, or I'll put on Chris. I'll put on Chris Christopherson's Sunday Morning Coming Down and things like that. I mean, I can't sing through that song, right? Yeah, occasionally I'll just post these links to these songs on my channel. But yeah, one day at a time. Of course, of course. Why do people think that there's only one person suffering when it's a toxic relationship, and one person might have more of the easily accessible problems, right? It's both people are suffering, right? And toxic interactions, you know. Just let's do one of those. So M said, I'll just repeat this and then I'll read the next comment. M said, I do also believe that being in a toxic relationship is traumatizing, maybe even for the most dysfunctional person in the relationship too. She said, think of it this way. If you're trying to be in a friendship/relationship with someone actively using, you are pouring into someone who is emotionally unavailable. They're 100% not available, not when it counts. The worst thing probably is that you can't count on them when you really need it. They might be there for you in so many ways, right up until crunch time, okay? And then they're just not there. They're incapable, and then just things go on from that, right? Tat says, Emily, my husband had his addiction. By the time I found out, I loved him. Yeah. I think that might happen to a lot of people. Yeah. And, you know, and you're bonded, okay? You're pair bonded with that person. Imprinted, right? It's an imprint. It's very difficult to tear that up. And some people, you know, some people, they do. They just can sever, you know, and some people can't because they, you know, for maybe just because of love, but, you know, because of whatever reason, yeah, they won't sever like that. You are always, you always have our ears and our hearts, Tat, okay? I know Humanimal channel isn't always a safe space because of it's because of what I bring, right? And that's not something I do purposefully. It's just situations you know, I put myself in, I guess, and of course, by proxy, I'm bringing Humanimals into that, subs or any viewer, right? But in the regard of human interaction to do with anything like this, I mean, this is all what you know, you always have my ear, and you'll always have me trying to understand and hear you, and yeah. And Em knows that goes for her as well. So Tat's acknowledging what John said about how difficult these friendships and relationships are with someone who's an addict, because yeah, you're not, it's like you are just in these parallel dimensions, right? And what do parallel lines do? They never meet. So you can have as many things in common as possible. You can enjoy each other often in many ways, as a friend, as a lover, whatever, but it's still it's parallel lines, really, because there's a divide that you're not going to cross somehow. It's like these poles, these magnetic poles. But there are all types of relationships, all types of human beings, and naturally, it's not natural to not pair up. And so, different types of people are going to find each other, and there are all types of different relationships, and sometimes this will work too. I mean, there's there's a lot of relationships that have worked so many different ways that we see, like through bohemians, for example, who always just keep their own flats or homes, but they have these long love affairs, and they screw around on each other, or they're loyal to each other, or they support each other, or they paint each other, or they destroy each other. But this is human. If we're always looking for perfection, we're never going to find it. But what we do need to realize is that we need to find some sense of safety, whether it's emotional safety, physical safety. If you can honestly say you're emotionally safe, physically safe with someone, even though you're going to have hard times, I don't know. Tat says, hi. Yes, we have him. We have M. Just letting you know she's from. M says, Amber is a hurting person, even if she is unaware of this. Her ego and arrogance, unlikability, really, really, really veil her humanity. Yes. That's my yes. Her personality disorders work against her when she's trying to articulate her experience. She can't have that self-awareness, can she, Em? And it's just playing against her. But I believe she knows she's hurting. I believe she knows she's hurting herself. I don't think she knows how to stop. And sure, yes. And I've also said this in a video too, don't lie, blah, 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 right? But, there's enough people saying that. There needs to be more people saying, Amber Heard is hurting. Amber Heard doesn't know how to stop. She doesn't understand herself, but she knows, I'm sure she knows something is very wrong with her. And I also believe that it has made her vulnerable to being hurt at times when how can I say this? I believe there are times when she's vulnerable and she is the one being hurt, when she is not this, steam locomotion of fury, right? If that makes sense. Sorry, I have one kidney, and really, actually, I should be constantly drinking water, so sorry. And then M says, M says, if she's never lived any other way, how can we expect her to intuitively know how to be honest and decent? It's not her baseline. Exactly, it's not her baseline. Oh, DMG Soul Togetherness says, G'day, mate. Yeah, g'day. G'day, DMG. DMG is another person here that has a channel that posts. If I'm just saying, I was saying DMG before that because I can't put people's channels on, so if people want to go and look at other people, if they're not already connected, they probably are, but if they're not, the best way is to put a comment in the comment section so that people can click on you and go and see. Yeah. Who else? I don't think people do this, and I don't know why, but I do it religiously, let's say. When I'm looking at comments that people make, the first thing I do is click on them and go to the channel. Yeah. People don't seem to do it. Yeah. And they get really triggered or interested or appalled or whatever by comments I might make, and then what they're saying in response shows clearly that they haven't done that. Tat says, addicts are very selfish. They don't know different. Yeah. Yes, addicts are selfish people. And they might have awareness around that. They might not want to be like that. Yeah. M says, that being said, what the trauma bond is going on with her sister. Yeah, it's a profound example of familial trauma bond. Yeah, 100%. 100%. Yeah. You know, it's tricky because, you know, sometimes you think, look, certain people should just remove themselves from others and from society so they're not doing harm. And sometimes people choose to do that themselves, you know, and then they're left with a very lonely existence when they are trying to not connect and not, yeah, and then they're not getting a chance to heal as well. One kidney, Tat. So it doesn't function, you know, as well as two kidneys would. It tries, and for a while it's done very well, but it doesn't always do very well. Yeah, so one kidney. I mean, I've got another one as well. It is there. Well, it's actually probably, it's been totally absorbed by my body now. Yeah, so her sister must be so worn out. She's got a newborn and is dealing with Amber's mess. So does Whitney have a baby? Because Amber has a baby too. And yeah, Whitney's got a baby, and Whitney really needs to be able to focus on that special time of motherhood and developing that bond so she doesn't have a child that has any attachment issues. You know, and you know, people are just, yeah, Amber. Yeah, how do you feel about Amber and her child? I really think that she's, I really do think it is Elon Musk's child. I think, you know, in a very primitive way, there's been this sort of, actually, I've just realized something. Sorry, this is completely, I've just realized that now this live will never upload anyway. That's the problem. It's probably not that I can't go live, but I can't upload a 2.39 thing. I don't know. It doesn't matter, but I think she, you know, selected an alpha male, you know, only maybe because of wealth and etc., but you know, to have child with. So she's functioning she's functioning quite well on some level, because let's face it, not all women or men choose great partners to bring a child into the world with. Indeed, going back to Meghan Walsh, she's had these children where the father isn't around, and she's not bringing them into a nuclear family where she wants to provide them with what has brought humanity to this place in the first place, which is, units. Good we were here for it then. Yes, John. Yes, thank you. Because I didn't think of that, right? So if I did a half-hour live, I could easily upload that. But I don't think I'm going to be able to upload 2.4 hours. I mean, do you know how long it takes for my phone to upload a half-hour video? Fucking hours, right? So, yeah, which is, it's very frustrating. And sometimes, I want to say things on the spot and be very reactive. I can't. I might be able to record something, but it might be the next day before it's even up, right? Yeah, people don't realize that. But, yeah, it just takes forever. And there's times of day that will upload quicker. And, yeah, I've just realized now, oh, my gosh, 2 hours and 41 minutes. This is never going to see the light of day. Makes it more special, doesn't it? Oh, and I've got battery power going fast. Em says, I hope she's an incredible mother because that's what her little girl deserves. Yeah. Yeah. I hope it's the one thing that gives her meaning and makes her think about her actions. You don't upload a live. Once you end, it's done. No uploading on a live. Promise. Oh, says the Queen of Lives. Thank you, Em. Oh, yes, of course. Oh, I understand. I guess, yeah, because I've been watching lives. I'll come in at the end of someone's live and I'll want to watch it. And then it is there already, so I can either... Yeah. Oh, yeah. See, I need people. This is where a conversation is good, right? See, if I had said that in a video, I wouldn't have a responder being able to correct immediately and then move forward without all that misunderstanding and then me realizing later. Yeah. But what do you reckon? Should we wrap up? I have no idea what the time is. But thanks for that, Em. Yeah. Em is she's Queen of the Lives, one of the Queen of the Lives, that's for sure. She's a veteran broadcaster. But I would end it before your battery dies so you can manually, yeah. So I will end now because I've got very little battery and I'll plug my phone in. DMG Soul Togetherness says it's 5:27 a.m. in Scotland. Oh, Buckeye. Oh, I do love a Scottish accent. I love the Rebus books. Yeah. Good night, Bo. So, who have we got? Good night, Bo. Good night, DMG. Good night, Bunny. Good night, John. Good night, Tat. Whomever else might be here. I don't know how many that is, but shall we all say good night? And yeah, thank you so much. I just thought, look, I'll just press that little button and see what happens again. I've done it before, but nothing happened. Oh, thanks, Tat. You have a wonderful day too. Thanks for putting up with my perspiration. Holy moly. It doesn't smell, I can tell you. I'm fresh like a daisy. Yeah. So, bye, y'all. Oh. I'll just bye, John. John's an OG as well, original gangster. John, I should get a little skull plaster to put up here for you, right? Yeah. chat. Thank you so much. Thank you, Emily. Thanks everyone for being here. So supportive. Did you notice we had 0 trolls? Probably because no one knew that it was happening. But we've had nothing but lovely conversation. Interesting to me anyway, hopefully to you guys. But thank you so much. Way back, yeah. You've been way back. Same with them. Yeah. And many people, would have been connected to you for a long time, yeah, that now then found me. So thank you, everybody. Everybody has been just so amazing and pleasant and kind and thoughtful and interesting. And we haven't had one single weird comment situation or anything, have we? So as soon as we stopped talking about Meghan, people didn't just keep trying to bombard us about their, with their political views on that. So that was very kind. Yeah, so thank you. I guess I just hit X, M? Just keep using big words. We're no still flocky knocking the hilly pillification.